showdown of top teams in the black pool. And the starting pitcher is 38-year-old Harbour, Maine, Newfoundland product Sean Cleary. And he is a star amongst stars in this sport, in the circle. He has pitched for Canada in 5 World Championships. He has lost 1 game at the Canadian Championships since 2011 in 40 games, and that loss came against Kitchener in the final of 2011. He has struck out, coming into this event, 394 batters and amassed a record, and he arrived here late, of 36-1-2. I would say that's a decent resume.
That is a microcosm of how dominating this Galway Hitmen team and 3 Cheers Bud Light prior to that have been over the past decade in this tournament. 8 championships, a blip in 2017 with a silver medal, but they are, Peter, the class of the Canadian field.
And Sean Cleary gets the ball in this important game. The Toronto Batmen await the winner tonight at 8:15, and that game will send a team to our gold medal final tomorrow at 3. And Cleary working the longtime national team member Brandon Horn. These two guys facing one another. Won a world title together in Saskatoon in 2015, Canada's last world championship in this age group.
Brandon Horn has had a very good tournament for Bear Creek at the top of the order, but down on strikes here.
And Sean Cleary has pitched 7 innings here. So add another 7 to those totals I talked to you about. He gave up just 1 hit and struck out 14 in that game.
Yeah, Sean got here on Thursday midday. Just pitched the 1 game, as you said, yesterday, but obviously quite dominating in it.
Tyler Pauli, who delivered a walk-off 2-run homer yesterday in Bear Creek's second game of the day, in a showdown against Grand Prairie, a terrific ball game, and that is what propelled them into the all-important second spot, because when you finish in the top 2, you have an extra playoff life. Had they lost that game, they'd be playing this afternoon in a must-win scenario. As Cleary deals to Pauli, who has been up and down at the plate so far in this Canadian Championship.
Had a walk-off home run yesterday morning for the Bear Creek Express, and that got them into this double life game.
And good play by Captain Canada, Ryan Boland, the catcher, to take care of Tyler Pauli, and there are 2 away. It is time for what I have now deemed the Setford scouting report on our starting pitcher.
Sean Cleary, the ace of Team Canada, has got every single thing you would want, Peter. A very good rise ball, a very good drop ball, a devastating changeup, and he's actually got 2 versions of the change. There's the one that's full gear down, and then there's one that's only a 3/4 gear down. And he's been working on that pitch for a while. Now, this is interesting. This is about as much emotion as you'll ever see from Sean Cleary. The fact that he's walked in 12 steps from the mound tells me he is extremely PO'd with missing that call. You'll never see any more emotion from Sean.
That is very true, and he is facing one of the stars of this event, Quentin Bruce. 10 runs batted in, 5 home runs. All world at the Men's World Cup in New Zealand. Shane Boland, a good play to go up the middle. And throws a strike to first, and Cleary and company. A 1-2-3 inning for the defending champions. Shane Boland, love the quick release. Galway to bat.
You're not winning anything. Oh shoot, something just unplugged. Yes, my friend, the camera, my friend. All right. Oh my gosh. All right, hey. There you go. Cámara, se fue. It's plugged in. Yeah, yeah. You got it? No, I'm good.
Here we go, home half of one, starting battery for Bear Creek, catching is number 34, hit 4, pitching number 39, Riley Mannion, the leadoff batter for the Galway Hitmen, shortstop, number 91, Shane Boland.
Mannion has given up 8 runs on 18 hits. Argentina in April. And this is as good a test if you're trying to impress the national team coaching staff and brass as you could ever have. A playoff game against the powerhouse, the dynastic, and that is not out of context. The Galway Hitmen.
Peter, here is where Riley Mannion needs to pitch his game. If you start trying to pitch around the edges, you're just going to make a mistake, and eventually that's going to lead to somebody getting into one as it goes middle. Just pitch your game, make these guys hit your pitches. And if they do, tip your hat, trust your defense, but pitch to your strengths, not theirs.
Shane Boland, 2 for 9 so far this week. Great to have a chance to spend a few minutes with another player here that I've admired from the sidelines primarily over the years, longtime shortstop of our national men's team. This great class of Newfoundlanders. And that's the exciting thing too for me, Blair. This is not, and we see this in the sport, these guys are virtually all homegrown players.
There is no imports from Newfoundland other than Nate Running this year, as far as I can tell. Everybody from the Rock, as they say. And here is one of the most exciting players in the game in Jordan Pomeroy. And the most watched softball clip. I'll show it to you real quick.
Fly ball. with that fly ball.
One of the greatest catches
With that fly ball.
ever. That happened the game you called
With that fly ball.
earlier this year in Mitchell, Ontario. Jordan Pomeroy became an instant viral star, and for good reason. He and his children will be able to watch that for the rest of his life.
At last count, I had heard because it got picked up by something called John Boy Media, which is a sports outlet in the U.S. And full credit to Joe Todd. It was actually Joe Todd who was calling that particular game in Mitchell. It had been viewed well over 2 million times.
Well, and for a sport that is fringe for many, what better way to show off what your athletes can do?
There was a story in the local press in St. John's. They went and interviewed Jordan Pomeroy about midway through the week, and he said he was being stopped in the grocery store by people who had seen it. 15 minutes of fame, but I don't think it's going to be just 15 for Jordan Pomeroy.
Well, that clip's going to last forever. That one's never going away.
Yeah, that clip is going to last forever, but he's going to be around the game for a long time, and an opportunity to produce more and more of those highlight clips over the coming years.
And he has great people to grow with and learn from. Jordan Pomeroy in this tournament is 6 for 17. He has a couple of doubles, a triple, and 3 runs batted in as he tries to deliver the first hit of the game. In a 3-4 playoff game going on in behind us, the host Souk Loggers have jumped into a 3-0 lead against the Saskatoon Angels. Diving stab by Tyler Pauli, who robs Pomeroy of a base hit.
It's almost like Bear Creek is maybe a little bit forgotten out there, Peter, but let's not forget they've got national team players over there too. Tyler Pauli, one of them, and just flashing the leather on that play. Outstanding defense from the young man from Mitchell, Ontario.
Here he is, one of the all-time great hitters that the game has ever produced. Brad Ezekiel, the center fielder, and down the line it goes for extra bases, and Ezekiel on his way to third with a stand-up triple, his 10th hit. Coming off last year when he batted .615 with 7 home runs and drove in 15.
Triple brings up the right fielder, number 6, Colin Walsh.
He is sensational in this sport.
Brad Ezekiel just half an hour ago named to another all-Canadian team, only batted .643 during the qualifying round. And that swing there, an inside-out swing to hit that the opposite way, hugging the line down right field, is how dangerous Brad Ezekiel is, because he can pull the ball as he did the other day and hit it into the trees in left field. But the ability to hit the ball to all fields is what sets him apart.
So another hit at a Canadian championship at another event period. Maybe his most memorable hit of his career, and there have been a lot of them, would be a 2-run homer late in the Pan American gold medal final in Ajax, Ontario against Venezuela in a game that today's pitcher, Sean Cleary, threw, and that might have been the best big game Sean has ever pitched in a Hall of Fame career.
A very nervy 2-1 win over Venezuela. And Peter, you were there, one of the lucky few who got to witness that game live.
Colin Walsh produces the game's first run, and he's on his way to third. Back-to-back triples for the 3-time reigning champs from Newfoundland, and they strike first in this 1-2 playoff game.
Riley Mannion got 2/3 of the way through this inning, but as you just said, back-to-back triples by the 3 and 4 batters. Both of those guys on the All-Canadian tournament team. Colin Walsh, 429 through the round robin and picking right up in the playoff round. And here's another guy who was named to that All-Canadian team, Blair Ezekiel.
Blair in the tournament as Colin Walsh has just driven in his 6th run of this 2023 Canadian Championship. Blair batting at .615, 8 hits in 13 official at-bats. Double, triple, 2 home runs, and 6 runs batted in. You could win some tournaments with 3 Ezekiel brothers alone.
The 3 Ezekiels, 2 Bolins.
And Blair has really feasted at the Canadian Championship. That's where he's done his best work. And not a bad place to do it, I might add.
And that is saying something for a guy who's got 7 ISC All-World nominations, too.
You could probably make a significant argument for one over the other. I will grant you that.
Well, I know, but I know that he has put up some spectacular numbers here in this tournament, too. I mean, he's a great player and has been for a long time. Bradley gets the lion's share of the accolades, and deservedly so, but Blair Ezekiel has had an outstanding career.
In the year 2019, he drove in 20 runs at this event. 20. 2-0. That's a lifetime for many. He did it in one tournament. With 6 more runs batted in, he has 88 of them at Canadian Championships since 2011. And has drawn a 2-out walk as after Mannion was able to record a couple of outs. Back-to-back triples and now a walk as the Hitmen have broken out on top. The winner of this game to face the Toronto Batmen, the team that Galway beat 4-1 in St. John's, Newfoundland last year for the title. Are they on a collision course again in 2023? Neither team has suffered a setback. But it's been a lot more difficult for the Batmen.
They've been really tested here this week, but they have come through with flying colors. You go all the way back to opening day, that come from behind win. That was an impressive start for them.
High fly ball, sun difficult over there, but hauled in by Mac Mulvey, who started to make key contributions as this event has gone on. Riley Mannion gives up 1, but it could have been a lot more. Through 1 on playoff Saturday at the Senior Men's Canadian Championship. Travis Jones to lead things off for the Bear Creek Express as they trail Sean Cleary and the Galway Hitmen 1-0 after back-to-back triples off the bats of Brad Ezekiel and Colin Walsh. And a base hit, first of the game for Bear Creek, belongs to Travis Jones, his 6th hit in 15 at-bats at this Canadian Championship.
Ryan Boland and Sean Cleary should probably know that you can't throw a rise ball in the eyes of Travis Jones. That's where he likes the ball. And just ripped that out to right. I've only seen Travis do that 100 times over the last few years.
Good start for Bear Creek against Cleary. Since the year 2011, he has not lost a game at the Canadian Senior Men's Championship.
That is a decade and change. Now, there were a couple of years, I think, where Sean was not there.
You're right. But by the stats that I have seen, and again, a great thank you to the people at My Stats Online, who for someone is a little bit maniacal when it comes to preparation. They have served me greatly. I feel like I need to buy them a steak dinner. This is clobbered and gone. Jeff Lyons goes deep off Sean Cleary, and Bear Creek takes a 2-1 lead.
Well, there was never any question about the hitting ability of this Bear Creek team. It was always going to come down to whether they could get the pitching to stay with the Galway Hitmen, and staking Riley Mannion to a lead may just go right to his legs.
A 2-run shot off the bat of Jeff Lyons, his first home run. And runs batted in 2 and 3. And Bear Creek on top of the 3-time reigning champs. Catcher Nick Moore, the batter. There's the great change. 1 of 2, as Blair talked about.
Yeah, that's the full change where he throws it down a complete gear and goes from about 78, 80 miles an hour down to about 60, 62. But there's another one that he'll throw at 72.
Comes back upstairs with the rise ball. The 38-year-old from Harbor, Maine. A Hall of Famer, without a doubt. One of the all-time Canadian greats, certainly of his era. In the circle. Mentioned has played in every World Championship and has been Canada's ace for a long time, going back to 2013.
And you think of the guys who have gone through the Canadian program, very few have been the ace for that length of time.
Great point. And the changeup in fine form. And they say that Nick Moore did not go around.
Our blue crew for this afternoon's matchup: Nick Allen from BC's behind the plate, Kearney O'Keefe from Newfoundland at first, Chris Carroll, Ontario, out at second base, and Justin Van Horn, also from Ontario, recently just had a birthday. He's out at third base and just made that no swing call.
The drop from Cleary misses down. And not the start that he was necessarily hoping for after his 14 strikeout, 1-hit effort yesterday in the lone game that he has pitched so far here. That's a terrific pitch on the outside corner, and Sean Cleary has his second strikeout and the first out of inning number 2. Mac Mulvey, a key pinch hit yesterday. He's only had 5 official at-bats, but he's 2 for 5 with a key run batted in. On a couple of hops, it backs up Peter Kavanagh, another Newfoundlander with a bright future, one of their younger players. He handled this well.
Peter Kavanagh, smooth middle infielder, stepping in for Justin Gill, who we saw at second base earlier in the week. A player on the rise is Peter. Spent the season with Hill United Chiefs on the tournament circuit in Ontario. And he's a guy that's got a bright future, as you said.
Dallas Kipfer has already worn the Maple Leaf at the U23 World Cup in Argentina. Kipfer, 2 for 9 with a home run and 2 runs batted in by virtue of that home run.
Oh, and that came at a very critical time for Bear Creek the other day. And I think, if I recall correctly, ended up being the margin of difference in that game against Souk, was it not?
The home run came in the loss, actually, to Toronto. But it put them ahead. It made them and gave them their first advantage. They trailed 3-0, Blair, in that game.
That's right.
Came back to take a 4-3 lead, and it was his 2-run home run that gave them their first lead. Quentin Bruce would add a home run to make it 5-3 before Toronto came back, and Corey Way delivered a 2-run single in the bottom of the 6th in a 6-5 victory to ensure the Batmen, who have already advanced with an important win and a big one over the Niagara Stompers. Well, Sean Cleary, after giving up a 2-run shot to Jeff Lyons, comes back to strike out Nick Moore and Dallas Kipfer. It's 2-1 Bear Creek. Inning and a half. At 100%.
No, we saw Jason the other day in between the diamonds, and he's got a rig on that hand that he injured all the way back in the fall, the late fall down in New Zealand. Turned out he had
second hit, and because he's at less than 100%, that's just his 6th at-bat for Jason Hill, 38 years of age, from St. John's, long-time member of Canada's national team, including their most recent effort at the World Cup in New Zealand. A high pop-up, and it's handled well. At shortstop, it's a tough field at this time of the day In fact, it is almost until it becomes nighttime.
It's a real high sun here in Vancouver today, and the players are all going to be looking up into it. They're gazing for those fly balls. Everybody's got the glasses on out there.
But Dallas Kipfer did well. Haven't always seen Kipfer in that spot this week.
You know, he's rotated around a little bit, and they have moved people in and out of shortstop.
And here's youngster Peter Kavanaugh, who's batting .500 this week with a couple of runs batted in and a triple. He's 5 for 10 heading into his first playoff at-bat. Kavanaugh, 23, in his fourth Canadian championship already. Played for the Cool Bet Hitmen, the host team in St. John's, not the Galway Hitmen. It's a little confusing. And he was 7 for 22 last year, so not playing quite as much on this team. And will turn 24 on November the 25th.
Yeah, he's a guy that they wanted up on this team to soak up that championship atmosphere.
This is a mile high and just got out of play as Brandon Horn over at third came over to be in the right position in case it blew back. So Riley Mannion gave up back-to-back triples from Ezekiel and Colin Walsh, as in Brad, and you have to clarify that because there's 3 of them that gave Galway a 1-0 lead. However, Jeff Lyons had an answer with a 2-run home run off Sean Cleary in the top half of this inning.
Peter, you and I talked about before we came on air, maybe the Express would think about pitching by committee. If you get through the order once, maybe twice with Mannion. This is the 9-batter in the order for Galway. It's Kavanaugh down on strikes, but warming up in the bullpen for the Express is Reese Yancey, the lefty.
Another player who is young, an up-and-comer, played for Canada in that aforementioned U23, really U25 because of COVID World Cup earlier this year in Argentina. This guy's played in a few World Cups, World Championships as they used to be known. And that is shortstop Shane Boland, who struck out against Riley Mannion to lead off the bottom of the first inning. Don't be surprised if Shane starts to heat up. Excellent work by Pauli. Shields the sun, positions himself well, and makes a fine play. Bear Creek, it's very early, but they're off to a good start against the 3-time reigning Canadian champions from Newfoundland. 2-1 in favor of Bear Creek. Trying to pull an upset against the 3-time reigning champions, the dynasty that is the Galway Hitmen. They have had other names during that stretch. And Noah Baker leads it off, and not sure if he was fooled or if that was a bit of a slap attempt on the pitch from Sean Cleary.
I was willing to go with the latter, that he was trying to slap it. Kyle Ezekiel took about 3 steps in after that.
Bear Creek did not have an entry in 2022 at the Canadian Championship. But they are here, and I would guess many of their players have sprinkled their way through other Ontario entries in this event. Noah Baker right at Kavanaugh and makes the fairly routine play.
Boy, they read the scouting report on Noah Baker. I thought maybe Kavanaugh was shaded a little bit too far up the middle, but had him exactly placed.
Brandon Horn struck out to open the game versus Sean Cleary. Horn, a key member of that 2015 come-from-behind win in the gold medal game in Saskatoon when Canada trailed in the final 5-0 and came back on Steve Mullally's incredible 3 home run, 7 RBI performance to beat the Kiwis, as they are known.
Henderson-esque.
In this sport, and I've said it many times, whether it's been this week or publicly before on other platforms, I think it's one of the greatest single-game Canadian performances in sports ever. Ever. Obviously doesn't get the same kind of attention, pomp, and circumstance because of the sport that it comes in.
But it absolutely should.
It should. Brandon Horn was a part of it, keyed the whole rally. And Brandon Horn did not like the strike call that Sean Cleary just got.
Well, maybe that little bit of politicking paid off back in the first inning.
Exactly where it's going to go next. Always working the guys and gals in blue. Up the middle, nothing to work with there. Brandon Horn, a big wide turn. Brad Ezekiel looks his longtime teammate back to first. And Brandon Horn with a base hit for Bear Creek.
And Peter, I just saw most, if not all, of the second Newfoundland team, Physio & Co., just showed up and sat themselves down in the top of the home base grandstand just to our left. And they're here to support their mates on Galway. A lot of them will be teammates back in the St. John's League, which is, we like to talk about it as the best league in Canada. There are some great leagues dotted around the country. Many in Ontario, Saskatoon, Winnipeg, Calgary, Edmonton. Lower Mainland League out here, Spruce League up in Prince George.
Paul I fouls that away.
The Shooters League in Halifax. There's a good league going in New Brunswick too, and maybe we'll get a team from New Brunswick back here in the Canadians in another couple of years as that program gets back on its feet.
Tyler Pauli has 2 hits. They're both for extra bases, and they both cashed in key runs. One was an RBI triple, and then the walk-off winner against Grand Prairie yesterday afternoon to earn them the right to play in this game.
If you're a Bear Creek fan, you need Tyler Pauli to start heating up.
And he's capable, as you've mentioned many times in other major events, but he does not like this call, and he better be careful or he's going to get rung up.
Well, they're pushing the limits on both sides and testing Nick Allen from BC right now.
You know what? I give Nick Allen a lot of credit right there. That shows you're not going to like it, but you understand the merit of what's going on. You still want the athletes to decide it. Sometimes you build a great rapport with people, which is what umpires do, and referees. Quentin Bruce, is he gone deep again? Nope. Wind held it up a little bit. Very close to his 6th of the tournament for the guy that I've tabbed Bruce Almighty. 2-1. We have a beauty going on in our second 1-2 playoff game at Softball City. To the bottom of the third, and the 3-time reigning champions trailing Riley Mannion and Bear Creek in this 1-2 playoff game to the winner. A date tonight at 8:15 or approximately thereof.
Thereabouts.
I like that. Thereabouts. We've had a few thereabouts this week, but that's just the nature. With lots of games, 5 in total on this diamond. On playoff Saturday, tomorrow is Championship Sunday of the Canadian Senior Men's Championship. We'll tell you who the All-Stars were as the afternoon goes along from the qualifying round. The round robin is Jordan Pomeroy, who grounded out to Tyler Pauli at second his first at-bat. Swings and misses on the Mannion changeup. And I just think that pitch for him, as I'm getting to watch more and more of him with my own 2 eyes, might be the difference between terrific potential and national team type status.
Well, we talked about that the other day. If he can dial that pitch in down in the zone where it's tumbling at the plate and falling away from the batters, that is world class. And he's been at Sean Cleary's side all season long, along with Justin Schofield, who's also got a world class changeup. And those are 2 great guys to learn from. And he's had Ryan Boland behind the plate, now Nick Moore, 2 guys with experience.
There's the drop. Pauli, another gorgeous effort at second. That was hit very hard by Pomeroy and well worth another look.
Peter, I often put little asterisks beside outstanding defensive plays. I've got 2 now in the book. Both of them are in Jordan Pomeroy's row. Both of them credit to Tyler Pauli. Outstanding defense early in this one.
Brad Ezekiel with another hit, a triple, and scored.
And Peter, eagle-eyed Joe Todd at home has spotted that Les Howie maybe down near field level with a radar gun. I'll be interested to know some of the readings if we're able to get our hands on some of that a little bit later. We'll endeavor to make that happen.
Joe's like our super scout. Delightful Joe Todd, as I'm going to call him now until the end of time. Love that man.
You can make it 2.
Oh, I know that. In tight on Brad Ezekiel, who since 2021 in this tournament has video game numbers.
That's true.
And not even Tyler Pauli can come up with that. Is a big turn from Ezekiel, and he is 2 for 2 on the day. Blair, I mentioned to you off the air, you've seen him a trillion times in person. I've seen him more on video than I have in person, for sure. But every game I have ever attended, he's never gone hitless. And I would say in 12 of the 20 in that neighborhood I've seen him in person, and weeks like this help, he's had 2 or more hits in the games.
I talked to a couple of the guys who play against Bradley down in the St. John's League, and he doesn't make it every game, but when he's there, inevitably hits a home run every night that he's out. I think he had 8 home runs in the first 9 games of the season and they start early in that St. John's League. By mid-June, he was already up to 8 or 9 home runs in the league. Just, again, video game numbers. Here's another guy who's got video game numbers, Colin Walsh, both hitting and pitching. Was named to the all-tournament team in the utility spot because of his versatility on both sides.
And Walsh has driven in the Galway Hitman run today with a triple. This one playable for Quentin Bruce. And there are 2 down in the bottom of the 3rd.
Next up, first baseman number 21.
Peter, keeping an eye on the single elimination game that's going on in the diamond behind us. Souk Loggers still up 3-0 on the Saskatoon Angels. Kyle Cowick and Brian Avery, a couple of early RBIs. Derek Mason as well.
Mannion comes in tight for a ball.
With Brady Woods and Devin McCullough for Souk and Saskatoon, respectively.
By the way, Brad Ezekiel has improved on a lifetime .382 batting average at the Canadian Championship, at least going back to 2011.
Well, we should tell the story of last night when the Galway Hitmen were occupying the upper bleachers here, and they were getting ready to leave, and I asked Sean Cleary, I said, hey, Sean, can you send Brad over just to say hi to Peter? And I thought if there was a way that he could have dug a hole.
Base hit by Brother Blair, and Brad on his way to 3rd, and there's runners at the corners now with 2 out. As you could call Brother Blair Canadian Championship.
He has put together some magnificent tournaments here at the end of August and into the Labor Day weekend, and doing it again. He's on the all-tournament team, was only, and air quotes around only, hitting .615 through the qualifying round. I just want to finish the story on Bradley. If he could have hidden in a hole, because he thought we were calling him up to do an interview on air, and it was just to have a quick chat to say hello.
Catcher Ryan Boland, is this in no man's land? It is.
3 guys converged on that, and it must have brushed the bill of somebody's cap on the way down in between them, but nobody able to track it down. Watch how close everybody gets. Kipfer came the closest, but nobody could get a glove on it, and you could not walk out there and drop a ball any better. Blair Ezekiel's coming off and limping a little bit here. He heads to the dugout. We've got a pinch runner.
Well, that play is with 2 out, a pinch runner for catcher Ryan Boland, which is courtesy to help speed up the game when there are 2 out.
Let's go, guys. Come on now.
Ryan's 4th run batted in this week. And the game is tied on his bloop RBI. And I wonder as well if the sun may have prevented Quentin Bruce from taking more charge of that play, because Blair, when you're coming in on a ball in comparison to guys going out, it should always be the guy coming in, if he thinks he can get there, to take charge of that play.
That's always the outfielder's ball until he can't get to it. The infielder's got to go until they get called off. But you're right, if he's looking up into the sun and just can't get to it or didn't pick it up right away, it's a very challenging play. Liam Shea is on to pinch run for Blair Ezekiel, and we'll watch to see if that becomes a permanent situation.
Another exciting youngster is Liam Shea. Played for Newfoundland at the Canada Summer Games. He's 23 and hit .353 at the U23 Canadians in Saskatoon this year.
They've done a really good job, this Galway team, of bringing in the younger players, getting them the exposure. It's still primarily a veterans team.
And Jason Hill goes down swinging against Riley Mannion, who comes up with a large strikeout. Galway ties it. We've got a gem underway at Softball City in Surrey. Travis Jones singled and scored on Jeff Lyons' 2-run homer in the bottom of the second. We're in a 2-2 tie. a trip to tonight's what I will dub Winners Bracket Final, which is kind of a term from another country. They love their brackets in the United States in tournament play. I don't really have another name for it. Back in my days, it used to be the A side and the B side, and at this championship, it used to be a true double knockout in the playoffs.
Well, you could call that one also the undefeated game, because potentially Galway and Toronto would be undefeated, but if Bear Creek gets there, they're not. So,
and it's really a semi-final.
That's a great way to
if you want to really break it down, because the winner of that game goes directly into the gold medal game. But the loser remains alive, and this is another base hit for Travis Jones. Pomeroy gets to it, and Bear Creek has upset on their mind. A lead-off triple for Travis Jones.
I'll tell you something, Peter. I've seen more triples here this week than I have at any other tournament this year, and I don't know what
you
is
see a lot of
driving
tournaments.
that. I don't know what's driving that, but we've had so many guys pulling into third.
It is true. In our first game today, Ty Sebastian had 2 of them in his first 2 at-bats. Ty, by the way, was named the MVP of the qualifying round. The Toronto Batman star. Justin Schofield of the East Hants Mastodons was the top pitcher, the top batter. Well, when you hit 765 and you have 13 hits, Patrick Burns of the Saskatoon Angels, who are looking for more hits right now against the Sauk Loggers.
Pat with the Pirates, actually. But yes, Saskatoon is looking for more hits.
I cannot get away from that, and thank you, Blair. And you know why I go there.
Yes.
Because he's from Saskatoon.
He is from Saskatoon, and your hometown, or
yes,
home region at least.
No, that's my hometown. And very proud of it is Jeff Lyons, trying to give Bear Creek the lead for a second time. Rips that foul.
Oh, some good hands there by Jeff Paulai right off the screen. Former infielder.
Tyler's father.
Maybe a current infielder too in the 50-plus division. The Waterloo Jack Slammers.
I love that name, so I'm glad you threw it out again. And I love how the name was constructed too, as Lyons faces Cleary in a 1-2. Change. As good as it gets. Strikeout number 5 for Sean.
I can't tell you how many times I have seen that feeble swing just waving at a Sean Cleary changeup. Look at this. And I have seen that countless times over the years.
They don't get much better than that one. And in a big spot here, top of the 4th and a 2-2 tie. Nick Moore, the catcher, located well in the outside corner. Some feeling like maybe it was a wee bit outside. Tough for us to really tell. We are off of home plate. We're at an angle. We have a great broadcast location. This might be my favorite place for so many reasons, including this locale, to call a game.
And I actually prefer this off angle just a little bit. I've often found when you are directly located behind home plate, you've got a great view of the umpire's posterior, and that's about all you can see of home plate.
And I don't know if this is strictly because of all the hockey work that I've done, but I don't like the setups, and I understand a lot of softball diamonds, you have no choice, and you know what I'm going to say next. I'm not a big fan of being right down at field level. I like the depth. gives you a way better feel as to just the overall game, in my estimation.
No, I agree. It has its pros and cons of being that close. You do feel like you're practically on the field. But for a lot of reasons, I like being up higher a little bit. You can get a much better read on the depth of the defense. As you just said, it's much easier, too, to see plays develop when you're up here. And I know that's a hockey term as well, but it also happens on the diamond.
It does, absolutely. And I think from here you have a better feel of where the ball's going to go off the bat than you do at field level in a lot of cases. Sometimes when it's really well hit, as balls are many times in this power game. But I find being down there, and this is just for me personally, that the game almost gets on you too quickly.
I do find that you get a much better sense of what the pitchers have got when you're that close. And another great changeup.
That, and again, which we've been doing all week long, you stole the words out of my mouth. That's the one area in terms of you cannot get a better feel for a pitcher than when you're staring right at his work from in behind home plate.
And you got to witness Jack Besgrove up close, Riley Mannion up close early in the year, and seeing some of the world's best, and we've got a lot of them on display here this week. There is nothing like being 70 feet away from where they let go of the ball, or even closer than that, quite honestly, probably 50 feet away.
So true. I say that even about watching hockey. It's a different game from 80 to 100 feet, or in some places, like the new building in Edmonton, when you'd be closer in Red Deer. From the lower bowl, this is a tough play even for Shane Boland. Mac Mulvey with another run batted in as his high chopper left the national team shortstop with no play.
As quickly as even Shane Boland gets rid of the ball, and look how fast he transfers that from the glove to the throwing hand and the snap throw to first. But Mac Mulvey runs well, and credit another RBI to the unheralded youngster.
Second run batted in of this tournament in somewhat limited at-bats. Here's Dallas Kipfer, and that's a fair ball. And it's going to score Mulvey. Kipfer, an RBI, and there's another triple. And Bear Creek has taken a 4-2 lead on the three-time reigning champs.
You go back to that game a couple of nights ago, Dallas Kipfer pinch hitting, 2 strikes, gets a ball on the fists, and has the ability to just get it out onto the grass to pick up a couple of key RBIs for Bear Creek, and the confidence that he's had in his game ever since, taking Sean Cleary the opposite way and right on the line.
Dallas Kipfer's third hit of this tournament, and it's a big one. An RBI triple, and after the bouncing ball base hit by Mulvey that made it 3-2, now it's 4-2.
And all of this, Peter, with 2 outs as well. Sean Cleary gets Jeff Lyons and Nick Moore striking out on the changeup. But relatively early in the count, I think that was only the second pitch to Kipfer, and Mulvey maybe only saw 1 or 2 pitches as well.
But the one thing about Galway, there's no team here like them. There's no team that knows how to win like them. And even down 4-2, there's no team that could string together a run like them.
Oh, undoubtedly. This game will not end 4-2. I will guarantee you that.
Noah Baker would like to make it 5-2. And you can sense even from some of their supporters that excitement level is growing. This is a team that just loses almost never at this event. Cleary trying to limit the damage. He's already given up 4.
Well, you talked about their record off the top, Peter, coming in. They played 6 round-robin games and only allowed 5 runs in the round-robin. They've allowed 4 here, and we're not yet halfway through.
And it's against the Star.
Just a little poke, 1-7, just a little poke.
And not just the Star here, the Star on a world stage.
Just touch it.
One of Canada's maybe best ever in the circle. Baker, Ezekiel, playable. In the sun,
Hey, boys, good work.
2 more Bear Creek Express runs. And they'll take a 4-2 lead in this 1-2 playoff game to the bottom of the 4th. We have some drama on playoff Saturday at the Canadian Senior Men's Championships. Riley Mannion and the Bear Creek Express leading the 3-time reigning champions, who are a perfect 6-0 in the round robin. But back is Kyle Ezekiel, one of the 3 Ezekiel brothers. And Galway never out of the game. Mannion's change up, hit well. Drives Baker back in left, but makes a fine play for out number 1 of the bottom of the 4th.
Seemed frozen at first, and I think perhaps by the swing as Kyle Ezekiel went down to go get that, but then quickly retreats and makes a catch at hat level.
Peter Kavanagh. Kavanagh struck out against Riley Mannion in inning number 2. Bear Creek with 2 in the 2nd and 2 more in the 4th. And a nice rise from Mannion. A swing and a miss from Kavanagh, who's 5 for 11 now in this Canadian Championship.
Peter on the single elimination side of the bracket, now the top of the 5th. Still 3-0 for the Souk Loggers over the Saskatoon Angels.
Brady Woods, I'm going to guess.
Brady Woods was the starter for Souk, and I don't see any indication of a pitching change. And Devin McCullough for the Angels.
East Hants, Nova Scotia, and the Grand Prairie Pirates will play in another 3-4 playoff game, set to start at 3:30. Kavanagh high in the air, gonna go off the roof. Ooh. There's a little geez Louise upstairs, and for good reason. Thankfully, that didn't hit anyone. Kavanaugh vying for his first hit, and a drop from Mannion. And he has his 4th strikeout in this game.
And some action in the Galway bullpen. Colin Walsh, the lefty, who did a lot of pitching for the Hitmen in the round robin. He is up and throwing.
Well, I think it's fair to say, and it's not being critical, that Sean has not had his best stuff so far. I don't want to take anything away from Bear Creek, who fully deserving of the 4-2 lead.
So now the 3rd time through for the Galway Hitmen. And Riley Mannion, as well as he has been pitching, he's going to be the guy for the Express. No action down in the right field side for the team in Burgundy.
What do you think a win over this group would do for this player's confidence?
Oh, he's got to be on cloud 9. Well, how about cloud 7 right now, because the journey is not yet complete.
Against this group? I don't even think you've seen a cloud yet, but you're feeling good. The plane's going towards the clouds.
Yeah, you would have come into this with a game plan for sure if you were the Express. A 4-2 lead into the 4th.
Horn. They called that a fair ball.
Mark Dwyer, the coach for Galway, is down to protest. And it's not where the player ends up, it's where he first touches the ball. And in the estimation of Nick Allen, it was in fair territory. I'm not sure that you can tell. You can't tell from that angle. That's actually very similar to the angle we have.
It's not as concrete as I think the guys at Galway think it is. And Shane Boland is a very intense customer and a great player. And there's lots of discussion.
And that's Steve Mullally, who is out there having a discussion with our third base umpire. And I saw Steve with ball pants on the other day, and I wondered if he was maybe going to be helping to coach.
Part of the coaching staff here, the great Steve Mullally. His group right now trailing 4-2 after 4 in this 1-2 playoff game. The Toronto Batmen in what you could classify as a playoff semifinal game await the winner tonight here in South Surrey. Blair, you wondered about the state as far as health of Blair Ezekiel after he came up limping in his last at-bat. He's no longer in the game defensively, is he?
No, they've taken him out. Kyle Ezekiel has moved over to first base. Liam Shea, who came on to run for Blair, out at second base. He's now at third base defensively for the Galway Hitmen, but if you're a Hitman fan, that's a big blow in the 5 spot in your order. Blair Ezekiel has been ripping the ball here this week. No offense to Liam Shea, but he's not Blair Ezekiel.
Few are. Certainly at the Canadian Championships and overall. And his bat has been on fire even in this game. Is the Galway Hitmen the favorites to win it again? Remember, even a loss, they still have one more life.
And they've done that before, Peter. They have come through the back door to win. They have gone undefeated in this magnificent run of theirs. But it does take a toll. They've got some pitching depth. They're certainly more than capable of doing it, and this would certainly be a rude awakening.
Brandon Horn, Liam Shea doesn't have to wait long for his first touch. You're always a little nervous when you go out there in this situation, but that settles the nerves in a hurry.
Well, as it often does, the ball finds the newbie in the game, and Liam Shea, no problems there.
The 23-year-old from Placentia, Newfoundland. Ryan Boland comes out to give the directions. And Sean Cleary looking to shut the door the rest of the way. Giving up 6 hits. A 2-run homer to Jeff Lyons. And another key hit was an RBI triple by Canadian U23 member Dallas Kipfer in the top of the 4th.
Peter, now 4-0 for the Sauk Loggers over Saskatoon. Tyson Barkman with an RBI single scores Brian Avery.
On the ground, Shane Boland. And when you have that quick release and it gets there in a hurry, not a textbook play, but textbook little recovery. And a key to that play right there, and I've seen it cause a lot of havoc. When you have knocked the ball down, Blair, no need to go pick it up again with your glove.
Yep.
Took it with his bare hand, and he can release it in a hurry and was able to get Tyler Pauli without number 2. Quentin Bruce wanted to drop down a bunt, and you'll take that against him.
Oh, that is a gift there from Quentin Bruce, a pop-up on a bunt attempt. He needs to be swinging away. That's a little bit of youthful inexuberance, I think, by Quentin Bruce.
Guy with 5 home runs and 10 runs batted in, and an all-star during the qualifying round. Sean Cleary will tuck that one right in his back pocket to be sure. Galway coming to bat. The champs trail by a pair. the 2, 3, and 4 hitters in the Galway Hitman lineup, with the team trailing by a pair against Riley Mannion on this beautiful Saturday in South Surrey, British Columbia. The first time the Canadian Senior Men's Championship has been held in British Columbia ever in the Metro Vancouver area, and first time in BC since 2006 when the tournament was staged in Prince George. Jordan Pomeroy is 0 for 2, but he has hit 2 shots that have forced Tyler Pauli at second to make 2 excellent plays on. Change up in that direction, but it's popped and hauled in by Mac Mulvey in right field for out number 1.
Next batter for the Hitmen, center fielder number 11, Brad Ezko.
Brad Ezko with just 2 more hits, including a triple back in the first when Galway took their only lead. Drives Mulvey back, and Mulvey circles around it and makes a good play.
You could see he was battling the elements out there, not just the sun, but also a hint of a breeze. When the ball gets up above the grandstand, it wanders up there in the wind. And he circled the wagons, absolutely, but came up with it on his knees.
Colin Walsh has driven in the only run. An RBI triple to cash in Bradley Ezko back in the bottom of the first. Riley Mannion takes the walk to the back of the circle. Giving up 6 hits to this vaunted group. And I see some good news in the on-deck circle for Galway.
Well, Blair Ezko re-emerging from the dugout and swinging a pair of bats in the on-deck circle.
So might be okay enough to hit.
Well, they may have to do some maneuvering around, too, if they need to protect him defensively, or they burned Liam Shea, not O'Shea. Riley Mannion not happy with that.
Well, you don't have to be Wolf Blitzer in the Situation Room to know that he's not very happy with that outcome. And he came back cranking it up against Colin Walsh. Colin has 7 hits and 6 runs batted in this Canadian Championship. Change up. Blair didn't have a chance to finish on just one quick point. You don't even always, if you're Riley Mannion, have to even throw that pitch for a strike.
No, you just have to put it in the batter's minds that it's there and that it's a tool, but he's going to stalk in and have a couple of words for Nick Allen, and Nick Moore is going to use all of his police training to defuse this particular situation.
And if you're Riley Mannion, you really need to settle yourself down, and it's not easy.
Oh, this is where a mound visit would be very appropriate from Bear Creek. Just settled the youngster down. He's hot under the collar right now, and when you're a youngster, your tendency in this type of situation is just to go out and overthrow. And I'd really like to see a visit just to settle things here, but we're going to get Blair Ezko re-entered, presumably, and back into the plate.
By the way, I'm with you about 1,000%. Blair Ezko, and it gets away from Nick Moore, and if I wasn't coming out of the dugout before, I am now.
Well, and he came in to get the ball, but he's looking at the umpire the entire time. He's completely distracted right now. He needs to be settled down. Jeff Lyons trying to talk to him from afar.
Settle in there, kid. Come on, man. You make that ball work. Let's go.
And again, if you want to continue to have national senior team aspirations. These are big opportunities, and how you handle both the good stuff and the tough stuff. And that's all part of the learning too, Blair.
Well, it's everybody can roll when you're striking out double digits. It's how you handle the adversity is what people are looking at. Now, Blair Ezekiel just did him a favor and chased at a pitch over his eyes.
And Blair Ezekiel is 9 for 15 in this Canadian Championship.
And that was a little bit of good old country hardball here. I'm going to throw it as hard as I can and see if you can hit it.
Remember, you own a couple, Blue.
A runner in Colin Walsh at second.
Come on, Manny.
After the wild pitch.
Come on, Manny.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs, bottom of the 5th. Change. And out of the zone.
Good mixer.
Yeah, easy for Ezekiel to take a look at that one. And now Nick Moore's going to head out. This will be a conversation strictly about signals, and Nick Allen will accompany him out. They've already had their defensive visit. Well, maybe this is going to be their defensive visit. Because, well, Allen is backing off.
That's a good veteran play by catcher Nick Moore. Your catcher in so many ways is absolutely the captain of everything that goes on. See if that little visit. And the 2-2 on its way to Blair Ezekiel. And it is strike 3 looking. A huge strikeout for Riley Mannion. And Bear Creek remains in front of the Galway Hitmen. 4-2 after 5. Sean Cleary finishing his warm-up pitches. He's given up 4 runs on 6 hits. Getting set to face a guy who's made a huge impact in the game, Blair, and that's Travis Jones.
Travis Jones, a couple of big hits now for Bear Creek, and he scored 2 of their runs as well. Single back in the second, came in on the home run by Jeff Lyons, and then tripled in the 4th, leading off, and scored on that RBI chopper, 2-out chopper by Mac Mulvey.
Trying to go three for 3. And the fascinating thing about this game is Galway doesn't find itself in this spot very often.
They do not collectively, but there is more than enough experience out here to battle through a 2-run deficit. They're fighting themselves right now by getting too caught up with worrying about the umpire.
Well, both pitchers are very agitated. That I don't think is unfair to suggest. Travis Jones and a strike.
Well, Cleary's shaking the head, and again, he is the Iceman out there. But if he's getting it into his head, that's not a good sign.
Paints the corner again to even the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. And you have said, and it's been very evident even to me in my viewings, his composure has always been one of his great assets. Never seems to get too high or too low in terms of how he's emotional.
Well, turning the back is classic Sean. The shake of the head, and again, you're not going to get the arm waving and the flapping that we've seen from a couple of the younger guys that when they get agitated, and that's a great word for it. But I don't ever recall seeing Sean spending as much time worrying about the umpire as he is here today.
Oh, and now Travis Jones, who literally was running.
That's a late call, and Nick Allen's not doing himself any favors with a late call like that. You're in a big game, you're a younger umpire, and I've not been an umpire, I've not been in that situation, but I know enough of them to know that when you make the call, you sell it.
Jeff Lyons provided Bear Creek's first lead with a 2-run homer back in the second. He struck out against Sean Cleary in inning number 4. I love great competition, and that's exactly what we have in front of us here in the Canadian Championship at Softball City. In a 1-2 playoff game, a semi-final date with the Toronto Batmen awaits. And nice range at third by Kyle Ezekiel over to Brother Blair. And there are 2 outs in the top of the 6th.
Entering the game for Bear Creek, and now at the plate is number 5, Scott Lelis.
And we have a pinch hitter. This would generally be Nick Moore in this spot. And the batter is Scott Lelis. We've seen quite a bit of Scott. Scott's 0 for 10 in the 5 games that he has participated in.
Well, Nick Moore, strikeout looking, strikeout swinging. Try something new.
Cleary upstairs with a rise. That one clearly out of the zone. No pun intended. Great drama here on a Saturday, a beautiful Saturday. Swung on and missed by Lelis. It is not very often in this event that you can get to Sean Cleary for 4 runs. By my tracking, he's not lost a game in this championship since 2011 in the final to Kitchener. Strikes out Lelis. Galway to bat, trailing by a pair in the bottom of the 6th. still out. The emotions running high in a crucial affair. Playoff weekend. Nice crowd.
Just had the weather bug up too, Peter. 24 degrees, and it is just a gorgeous afternoon here in Surrey, British Columbia, and Softball City. Can't think of a better place to be than right here at the ballpark on playoff Saturday.
Could not agree more. The top of the order. Or not the top of the order. This is catcher Ryan Boland, who does have a bloop RBI base hit that tied the game in the third. A ball that eluded 3 members of Bear Creek. Dallas Kipfer was in the game at the time. Tyler Pauli went back for it. Quentin Bruce in center came in for it, and it found a sweet spot. And there's been a lot of sweet spots so far for the Bear Creek Express. Is Ryan Boland. Fouls it down the way. And Riley Mannion ahead. A ball and 2 strikes.
Well, early is getting late for the Galway Hitmen, Peter, down to their final 6 outs. And we've been waiting for this team to break out. Just hasn't happened yet.
Mannion rearing back with a great rise ball. And Ryan Boland swings and misses. And another strikeout for Riley Mannion.
And Peter, 5-0 now for the Souk Loggers. Blake Hunter triples and scores Kevin Schellenberg, and exit stage left Devin McCullough.
The Saskatoon Angels, who brought a very good team here to Surrey, are on the brink. And remember, in the case of the host Souk Loggers, they lost 3 games in a row. They had a very tough schedule. Won 2 yesterday to earn that 4th playoff spot, and knew they were a dangerous bunch and could have had a much better record than the 2-3 that they finished the round robin with.
A couple of breaks go their way. They might have been 4-1 instead of 2-3.
Might be in this game.
Led late against a couple of these teams.
Pounded down by Jason Hill, who's 1 for 2 and not playing at 100%. You mentioned still dealing with a broken bone in the hand, and it didn't just happen recently either.
No, that was all the way back in November. It was in the pre-tournament. In fact, it was in the very first game against New Zealand in the pre-tournament in North Palmerston. Jason got tapped from behind as he was coming home. And
high chopper, Pauli. 2 away.
had to have surgery on that hand when he got home. And he's going to take off that, well, he won't take off the right glove, but he's got protective gear all around that hand.
He won't take it off because he doesn't want anybody to see it. And nor should he.
Come on now, Manny.
2 out, Mannion. Missing to Kyle Ezekiel,
Nice mix.
who's popped out to short and tested Noah Baker in left with his last at-bat with a drive to left. Fakes the bunt, pulls back the bat.
That's interesting. I don't often see Kyle Ezekiel do that. He is an accomplished hitter in his own right.
And a pinch hitter
Come on, Manny. Make it work. Make it work.
on deck. And he is a promising young hitter.
Let's go, Manny. Come on now.
Ryan Marr,
Sell in there, 3-9. Sell in.
the batting champion at the U23 Canadians in Saskatoon. He batted .667 in the qualifying round. 10 hits. He is on deck.
And want to say hello to Mom Sherry Marr back at home in Petty Harbor. Peter, who was with us until 4 in the morning Newfoundland time yesterday, watching the game with Soup and the physio team from St. John's League.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Come on now.
Kyle Ezekiel drives Quentin Bruce deep. He tried the Pomeroy and couldn't get to it, and hope he's okay. A home run, and it's 4-3.
I am not 100% sure about Quentin Bruce. He was very ginger going to get that ball, and I wonder if he hurt a shoulder going over the fence. He landed very awkwardly, and the trainer is headed out to center field. Look at that going over, and then the landing very awkward on that left shoulder.
And remember, he was dealing with a wrist scenario after being hit by a Derek Mason pitch a couple of nights ago. Looks like he's going to be all right. The therapist raced out to look at the star center fielder.
Yeah, raced out and racing back, too. He's going to be out of breath by the time he gets there.
Not him, you can tell. He's an athletic therapist for a reason. Looks like he could run a marathon. Well, Mrs. Marr, here's your boy. Kyle Ezekiel goes deep off Mannion, and it's 4-3.
Come on, Manny. Right back at him. Manny, right back at him.
And comes right back with a strike. To 22-year-old Ryan Marr. Change. Just out of the zone. And Ryan is 4 for 7 with a home run and 2 runs batted in this Canadian Senior Men's Championship. Excellent drop ball down in on the hands. Batting for another good youngster in Peter Kavanagh in this spot. Kyle Ezekiel's home run has cut the gap to 4-3. Struck him out looking. Gives up the home run, comes back with a strikeout. We go to the top of the 7th with the defending champions trailing by a run.
leadoff batter for Bear
The
Creek.
three-time reigning champions. Remember, they're still alive and well, even if they cannot come back in this game. The Toronto Batmen await the winner in tonight's 8:15, what you could call a semi-final. This is a 1-2 playoff game, crossover for teams. Galway finished first at 6-0 in their group. There's a 4-1 finish for Bear Creek. And Mac Mulvey. Talk about a bit of a coming out party. Has a run batted in today, a couple of them in the tournament.
2 for 3 with a run scored and an RBI, and just hitting singles off of Sean Cleary like it's his job.
There's not a lot of guys who have 2-hit games against Sean Cleary, but Mac Mulvey does. Kipfer, he has a huge hit in the game, an RBI single or an RBI triple in the 2-run fourth, and being asked to bunt, but fouled the first one back. Great drama here in Surrey. Sport doesn't get much better. Pulled his bat back in the nick of time as Cleary wanted him to try to bunt and in his hope pop up a rise ball.
Well, Dallas Kipfer, who has a softball academy that he operates in Kitchener, certainly should know the mechanics of bunting.
Gets away from Ryan Boland, and Mulvey, you can run, did not hesitate at all.
And that's a break there for the Bear Creek Express. Tough one for Ryan Boland, as sound defensively as there is in the game, but it just squirts away and not far, but just enough.
So heads up running by Mulvey, takes full advantage, and now he's in scoring position with nobody out. And how much would Bear Creek love an insurance run against the defending champion Galway Hitmen?
Green light. Come on now, some green scores. A little bit of green scores.
Mac Mulvey has played for his country before. Thank you for the note. 2016 in Prince Albert at the World Junior. But at this level, he continues to make a name for himself this week. And Kipfer goes down swinging in an important strikeout for Cleary.
But Dallas Kipfer, the job accomplished nonetheless. On that bunt that squirted away from Ryan Boland, the runner is up to second base.
Noah Baker 0 for 2, grounded out to second, flew out to Brad Ezekiel, his last time up. Bear Creek trying to add a little insurance in their upset attempt against the Galway Hitmen, winners of 8 of the last 9 Canadian championships. 2022, 2019,
Make up throw strikes, Noah. Make up throw strikes.
2018, didn't win in 17,
Oh, there's the plate.
16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 8. Last time this group didn't win, 2011 in Kitchener, 4-3 in the final.
Right back out, Noah. Right back out.
Lost to Kitchener in that game. It's the only loss Sean Cleary has suffered dating back to that date. 36-1-2. The Canadians coming in to this game since and including 2011.
I don't think anybody else is even close to that.
Well, that lengthy streak is hanging in the balance. Jeff Lyons, a 2-run home run. I think really gave this group confidence back in the second. And what can you say so far? And what a stiff test he has in front of him in the seventh, and that's pitcher Riley Mannion.
Peter, a base hit here. You've got 3 above-average arms in the Galway outfield, and Pomeroy, Ezekiel in particular, along with Walsh. Mulvey runs well, but it'll be a test to score.
Baker deep. Ezekiel back. He's got it. Bradley Ezekiel can do it everywhere. And he just saved the game for the Galway Hitmen.
I can't tell you how many times I have seen Bradley Ezekiel do that. I'll take you back to 2021 in Eldridge, Iowa, where he stole 5 runs in a championship game. Just stole 2 right there.
He'll be in Hall of Fame's 1 second after his playing days are over, and he's nowhere close by the looks of it of being done. Brandon Horn, he has a chance as that long fly and the great catch allowed Mulvey to move up to third. 2 down. 4-3 Bear Creek, top of the 7th. And Horn felt that.
That was a yard sale at the plate. The bat went one way. Brandon Horn down in a heap.
How you enjoying this one, my friend? It's as good as it gets. That actually was for you, Mr. Setford. And I know you're enjoying it.
This is one of the best ball games we've had the opportunity to do, not just this week, but all year.
Terrific game. And still lots left to come. Horn fouls it off of Coach Paul I. No one is disappointed if you're in the ballpark, or I would think watching at home. Canadian senior men's softball at its dramatic best. No balls, 2 strikes to 38-year-old former national team member and still in the national team pool, Brandon Horn. And Sean Cleary gets a great defensive play from Brad Ezekiel and strikes out Brandon Horn. They won a world championship together in Saskatoon in 2015. Galway has 3 outs and the top of their order when we continue. To the bottom of the 7th. The Bear Creek Express 3 outs away from handing the Galway Hitmen, the 3-time reigning champions, a setback. But they have the top of their order to start the inning. And it's Shane Boland, who's 0 for 3 today. And fouls that off the screen. Pomeroy, and then you know who. Brad Ezekiel, who just saved the game with a great catch going over the fence to take a home run away from Noah Baker in the top of the 7th. Riley Mannion did something in club ball this year that few did. He beat the New York Gremlins in a game in Simcoe, Ontario. And this game would have the same kind of feel, not quite.
Well, the only other guy that beat the Gremlins this year was Sean Cleary.
And he was playing for Bear Creek in that tournament at the time. Cleary versus Mannion. And the youngster has the edge so far.
These 3 outs, as they always are, the hardest to get, the last 3. But now it's the top of the order, too. Their 4th look at Riley Mannion.
And this is when inside you're vibrating.
Yeah, the adrenaline running through the veins right now of Riley Mannion. I like this casual walk to the back of the circle. Deep breath, refocus.
Trying to compose himself in this big situation. Fouled with authority down the left field line. And we'll have another payoff pitch upcoming to Shane Boland, who has just 2 hits so far this week. The 32-year-old in his 10th Canadian championship. He is an 8-time winner. 6 for 25 of the World Championships in New Zealand. And Mannion strikes him out for the 2nd time in the game to start the bottom of the 7th.
Same pitch that he got him on in the 1st, the high rise ball up and out of the zone, and Shane Boland chases it for strike 3.
Jordan Pomeroy, 0 for 3, doesn't really tell the story. Brady Woods with an 11 strikeout performance is the Souk Loggers after going 0 and 3. Pomeroy, tag play, and now Bear Creek is 1 out away.
Boy, that's a tough break for Jordan Pomeroy. He was just trying to get out of the way of that and went off the bat and stayed fair. And Jeff Lyons pounced on it and then just set up a block for Jordan Pomeroy.
The Toronto Batmen await the winner. They've played Bear Creek in what was a great game as well. They had the lead and lost it in the bottom of the 6th in a 6-5 loss. And if you can end the game against this guy, that's really a feather in any cap or hat you would wear. Brad Ezekiel, 2 for 3, triple, scored a run. And Mannion thought he had strike 2, and so did catcher Nick Moore.
There's not too many guys that you wouldn't want at the plate or that you would take over Bradley Ezekiel, down by a run with an opportunity to tie the game in the bottom of the 7th.
These are the games you wake up for. One ball and 2 strikes in a 4-3 Bear Creek lead, trying to upset the defending champs, the dynasty that is the Galway Hitmen in Canadian senior men's play. Ezekiel, Horn, got him, game over. The Bear Creek Express have upended the 3-time reigning champion Galway Hitmen in a classic here this afternoon in a 1-2 playoff game at Softball City.
Peter, there are times when a player arrives on the scene and makes a statement. Riley Mannion just made one of them. I can beat anybody. And he just did.
And John Stewart, Wes Howie, and the rest of the Canadian brass of the senior men's national program witnessed all of it.
Peter, coming up, it will be the Niagara Stompers, and they're going to take on the Souk Loggers as we will get some more action from the Canadian Men's Championship.
Well, I know you will handle it brilliantly, as you always do. I'm going to take a bit of a break. I'll be back at 6, and then Blair and I will have the All-Ontario semifinal. Somewhat unexpected. And a rematch of the round robin is the Toronto Batmen and Bear Creek Express will have a chance to play in the title game. That's what will be on the line tonight at 8:15. Blair will be back shortly. I'll see you around 6 o'clock. So long for now. From Surrey in playoff Saturday at the Canadian Senior Men's Championship.
For the latest in softball innovation, the website where you can experience the best tournaments in the Americas. Live games, news, tournaments, and much, much more. The best quality live softball, on demand so you can watch when you want. Become a Premier member now. SoftballPremierTV.com. Live it on Softball Premier.